I don't want clever conversation. I don't want you worked at home. I just want someone clever to talk to. I want you just the way you are. I need to know that you will love.
Yeah, sometimes Richard and I want to enjoy the music a little longer. And considering today we are dealing with wellness, we also want to have some relaxing music just before we get into the conversation. And we are discovering new things as we go along. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I hope that you had an amazing week. If you were here last time, we had an amazing session on board papers. And today we are honoring performance and ADHD, and we are really excited to be here. And this is season 7 of Get It Right with Atara Solutions. There's a lot of content on our YouTube channel, especially for you who is joining us for the first time, or for you who wants to catch up with the recording of these conversations. We are here every Tuesday from 8 p.m. And this is Get It Right with Atara Solutions, a webinar series that seeks to demystify issues in employment and entrepreneurship. We are here every Tuesday from 8 o'clock and from January to November. And in between, we organize learning events. We organize webinars as well, paid and free. But every Tuesday it's free for you, and we get to have amazing conversations. So make sure you are here. My name is Grace Nzula. I'm an HR consultant with Atara Solutions. Atara Solutions is a HR consulting firm where we offer HR consultancy that includes things like reviewing and updating your performance reviews, setting up your HR department, documentation for your HR. Are you looking for policies? Are you looking for contracts? Are you looking for job descriptions? We help you restructure your organization as well. We also offer what we call HR manager outsourced. If you're looking to have HR in your to outsource your HR department, then please consider Atara Solutions. We are open for business. And of course, we offer talent sourcing, which is recruitment. If you're looking for talent, then get in touch with us and we're going to get you the very best of the best. And of course, we are into learning and development. Under learning and development, we offer HR, all HR courses or soft skills. Nowadays, they're called important skills. They are no longer soft. They are must-have skills, emotional intelligence, communication skills, change and adaptability, among others. And of course, we are into team building. If you're looking to have activities for your organization, we offer that. And we are excited. On the 5th of June, we shall be hosting an event in Meru. So anyone who is in Meru and it's on Virons, or if you're coming from Nairobi or wherever it is from the world or the country, and you want to join us on the 5th of May from 4 p.m., 5th of June, sorry, 5th of June, June, not May. 5th of May is next week. So it is 1 month from now. Please join us in Meru for an amazing tea party. And we are going to have exemptional speakers. We are inviting business owners, line managers, heads of departments, HR professionals to come and learn more about, we are focusing on compliance. So we're going to be looking at labor laws, and we are also looking at taxation for business owners. So that is the conversation we are going to be having down in Meru at Slopes Hotel. Please look out for on our social media pages for more details. And at this point, allow me to invite my co-host Richard to just introduce himself, and then we bring in the speakers.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are going to the land of abundance. That is on the 5th of June. Superstars will be speaking there. But today we have other superstars who are going to unlock something which will help us understand ourselves better. Richard Magoma is my name. I train public speaking, and I also prepare people for interviews, among many other things. Over to you, Grace, and I hope you have started buying cups like this one so that people will have something to remember. Memorable. We like creating memories. Thank you.
That we do. That we do. We definitely promise you that Mary is going to be lit. And of course, allow me to give a shout out to my partner, our partner, Herbert Zake and Steadfast Quality Solutions in Kampala, Uganda. Herbert Zake is a Gallup Strengths certified coach. He supports people in identifying their strengths and just becoming the better version of themselves. And he also runs an organization called Steadfast Quality Solutions. Steadfast Quality Solutions is a HR and public relations consulting company located in Kampala, Uganda. If you're looking for an organization to train your board members, do board evaluations, or recruit board members, then Steadfast Quality Solutions are your best bet. And of course, if you're looking for a coach, then I promise you Herbert Zake, who has coached over 500 executives, will be the best person for you. And of course, a shout out to our partner in Kigali, Rwanda, K2 HR Services. If you're looking for a partner or for HR consulting in Kigali, then K2 HR Services, they will be able to give you those. So at this point in time, it is about ADHD today and how it affects performance, or the link to performance, or I don't know, I am afraid of using the wrong terms at this point in time. So let me not go ahead. And with us are two amazing speakers. And we have had Monique. She was among our first speakers in 2020. Was it 2020 or 2021? She was lastly here during the either season 1 or season 2 of Get It Right. And she is here. She normally comes in as as part of the audience. And of course, tonight we are honored to have her back here. She's an emotional intelligence coach. That is for Genos. And she also does consultancy. She does quite a number of things, yeah? And then, of course, accompanying her is Dr. Njoki, who works with ADHD. And together, they are running an amazing coaching program that they're going to tell us more about. But most importantly, they're going to tell us how to manage ADHD in our workplaces. And at this point in time, allow me to invite them to probably quickly introduce themselves and, of course, take the conversation to where we are supposed to go. Karibuni sana. Njoki, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
Yes.
So good evening, and thank you so much. I trust everybody has had a beautiful day. So my name, as you have heard, is Njoki Waroinge. I am a clinical psychologist. I am also an ADHD consultant. It is a topic I'm very passionate about. And above that, I am a lecturer. And beyond that, I am a mother of 3. Okay, and it is indeed a pleasure to be able to join the team today and dissect the topic of ADHD at the workplace. Okay.
Good evening. You can hear me?
Yes,
Sorry,
we
we are
can.
having a blackout in our place, so we had to move to a place where there is light and internet. That's why you can see the two of us together. As Grace has introduced me, my name is Monique Mukayagi. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you again this evening. I'm a HR practitioner, also an emotional intelligence practitioner. I'm also an SCC certified coach, and I love working with clients to help them discover who they are, and probably that's why we are here this evening. I also serve in a few boards, and I'm glad to be here this evening. Asanteni, and I look forward to interacting with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monique and Njoki. Njoki, maybe you can take it away now.
Okay, just a moment.
Okay. So allow me to put off my camera. so that we can share the presentation as we start.
That's okay.
Thank you. Share. Can you see our screen?
Not yet.
And it's sharing. Just log off there. Otherwise, you see how you log off.
Monique, are you still okay? All right, as we wait for Monique to sort out the technology side of things, and maybe we can ask you, what are your thoughts about ADHD, or what do you know about ADHD? You can engage us on the chat. What do you know about ADHD? ADHD. That is what I was going to ask. Yes, Mr. Musao, we are trying to get there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Something seems to have happened on our end.
All right.
I'm able to hear you.
Can you hear us now?
Allow me just to log off and log in again and see if it will work out. Sorry for that.
That's okay. So we are asking to you, the question to you, our audience is, where, or rather, what do you understand or what do you think about ADHD? Have you had an experience? Do you know about it? I know when we sent out the flyer today, somebody told me that they went somewhere and they were told that they were diagnosed with ADHD, but it had been a struggle before they could pick it up. So for that reason, then we can ask you, as we wait for our speakers to sort out the technical issues, what have you heard about ADHD, or what do you know about it, or what are your views around ADHD? Just let's engage on the chat. Let us know. Let's engage on the chat. What are your thoughts about ADHD? Have you heard about it? Have you been diagnosed? Have you seen somebody with it? What is your opinion around it? If you can. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen. Richard, can you hear me?
Yeah. You're loud and clear. You're loud and
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So Pamela, thank you, Pamela, for joining. And Pamela, how are you? It's been a minute. It's one of the neurodivergent conditions. That's true. Anyone else? You can engage with us on the chat about ADHD and your experience or what you know about it. Some of you I know Googled when we sent out. Some of you are here to discover. All of you are fine. I see Jackie says it's a condition that affects paying attention. Paying attention impulses. Actually, it cost me to lose a suitor because I failed to understand him. Oh no. Mercy says it's a neurodevelopmental disorder which means it affects how your brain develops. All right. Pamela says it involves less attention span and hyperactivity. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Keep the conversation going. Keep your opinions coming. Monique, you need to mute one and completely reduce the volume.
Okay, I think we've done that. Can you allow us to share?
We still have the echo.
Why is there an echo?
Because you have two devices. The other alternative, Grace, could be she sent you the PowerPoint so that you can.
Yeah, so that I can project for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Monique, one person can log out. Just log out.
Or have I logged in twice?
So one person needs to log out.
I think now it's okay.
Ah, yes, perfect.
Now
Perfect.
it's okay.
Yes.
Okay, enable us to share.
Let me go back to that. Please go ahead.
Okay. Beyond this one, yeah. It's that one. Okay, I hope now you can see it. Can you see it?
It has disappeared again.
It was coming, then it has gone, yeah.
Interesting.
Can you email it to me as Njoki starts the intro?
Let me email it to you, then you can do that.
Yeah. Njoki, maybe you can start with the introduction first of the presentation.
Okay.
In the interest of time.
Yes, I can do that. I can do that. And I'm hoping you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sorry about that mishap. And thank you for your patience. So I was also enjoying I was enjoying the conversation about ADHD, and I could hear words like attention, inattention, neurodevelopmental, and something the brain. Those are some of the things we will touch on, and they're actually so accurate. And like I had mentioned earlier, we're actually just going to dissect the topic of the day, which is beyond performance. So all those things we are talking about in attention and neurodevelopmental, short span and all that, how do they affect each one of us at the workplace? Okay, so I'm assuming that many of us here are in leadership positions. So we may know of people who, for one reason or another, they have everything it takes. At one look at somebody and you know you have quality, you know you have a higher right. But a few months down the line, we start to notice something is a bit off, but we cannot tell exactly what it is. And I'm not suggesting it has to be ADHD or it is ADHD, but we cannot rule out ADHD. Okay, so as we progress, some of the things we are going to cover in this session will be one, we shall look at how performance issues are typically interpreted at work. We see them as indisciplined, we see them as lack of interest, or could there be something else that we are not seeing? We shall introduce ADHD in a nutshell, and what about it do we tend to overlook at the workplace? What is it that causes inconsistent performance in otherwise very capable employees? We shall also see how certain workplace behaviors may be misunderstood. Like I mentioned, There are things that you expect of a very high profile or high profile looking employee, but you do not get them. What could be the issue? What is driving them? Those hidden things is one of the things we are going to talk about. We shall also highlight some of the often unrecognized strengths, because yes, ADHD has its own challenges, as does everything else. But more importantly, we need to remember that it has a lot of strengths associated with it. And especially even in the professional setting, what is necessary and what is important is how we apply it, how we realize it, and how we apply it. Okay, we shall look at practical ways that leaders and HR in particular, because ultimately every situation lands in the HR office at one time or another, and especially if it is one that is seen as non-performance or misperformance based, or even worse still, indiscipline. It ends up with the HR, but how does the HR respond? Um, and also we need to avoid overstepping into diagnosis, because we know what ADHD is. We do not want to get to a situation where we assume everybody who is doing ABCD has ADHD, and then we shall connect awareness to organizational outcomes. Now we know what next.
You can next.
Okay, one of the things we shall look at is could your most challenging employee, and you notice that challenging is it's questionable. It is not. It may not necessarily be challenging as such, but could they be the most gifted employee? We have not taken time to notice the gifting. We just, what we have marked in our brains is how challenging it is to work with so and so. You may hear somebody, I know there are books that have even been written on how to work with difficult people, how to work with difficult, how to manage difficult employees. I will not question the books or even the thinking behind it. However, it may be worthwhile knowing exactly what it is that makes somebody be referred to as difficult or challenging. So, again, we shall see also performance struggles. We shall see the patterns that signal misalignment. What misalignment are we talking about? Where we are talking about potential vis-a-vis non-performance, or what we may say is incompetence. And then, all in all, in that challenging, could there be something that we are misreading in an individual? If, or perhaps that individual could even be ourselves, by the way, in the first place. Okay.
Next.
We hope to be able to understand that there's the difference between attention regulation. Somebody mentioned inattention. ADHD and inattention are not separable. So, but what we need to know is that even when you go back to school, most of us, when we hear ADHD, we think of a little child in class who is running all over and not paying attention, and who is probably not performing well, and sadly they may even be written off. But we want to understand that inattention or inability to regulate that attention is not intelligence. It has nothing to do with intelligence. ADHD, as we shall see, as even we progress perhaps in the future, it is actually a different way of intelligence, because it is our brains are somebody talked about neurodevelopmental in the brain. It is actually a brain that is wired differently, not not a brain that is disabled or something. So what is ADHD and what is not ADHD? That is the bottom line question. Grace, next. Somebody here, this is a psychiatrist called Edward or Ned Halwell. He's a medical doctor, a psychiatrist, and he's quoted as having said that having ADHD is like having a powerful race car with weak brakes. Somebody else said having ADHD is like having so many radio stations or TV stations, maybe in somebody's mind or in the same at the same place, that we cannot put off. So you can imagine what is happening in the brain of a person who is experiencing ADHD, and those are the weak breaks that we are talking about. But we shall see how beneficial those same weak brains can be if controlled well, if managed well. Okay. By the way, I overlooked to mention what ADHD stands for, but I could hear from the conversations that we already have a solid understanding of the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. But today we shall not cover the details of the symptoms, the categories, and all that. We shall just go straight into how it affects us as adults and at the workplace. Okay, so like I mentioned, it looks nothing like a child who we otherwise are quick to say is ill-mannered because they are uncontrollable. They cannot sit for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes. They cannot sit still. They cannot learn throughout like other children. They do not complete their homework and all that, and we label them. And now that I've mentioned that name, I hope by the end of this we shall not label anyone without a proper assessment. So rather than look at it that way, because those same children still do grow up and work for us and work with us. So in the professional setting, what does it hide? One, it shows up by way of inconsistent output, high highs and low lows. When the going is good, it is really good. When the going is bad, it is really bad. But we should be able to understand at the end of this why the highs could get high and the lows get low. And as leadership, um, I think one truth that will come out, will emerge, is that two people may be having the same job, but uh, our expectation of the output to be the same may be where the flaw is. Okay. Difficulty with routine or repetitive tasks, that is usually a very strong no-no for the ADHD mind, and it is noticeable because the hyperactivity even may suggest that these are people you do not expect to be able to sit still from 8 to 1, break for lunch, come back, sit and work, do the same. And if we insist on getting them to do that, then of course, unfortunately, sadly, they will end up in the HR office, more often than not. Okay. Next. You may also notice that the same individuals we are describing as having high highs and low lows could be could surprise us with very strong performance under pressure, or under something that is different, something that is unique, something that they have been asked to develop or to work with. And then the question will be, how come? Is this the same jockey who has done this, yet they could not do A, B, C, D? That confusion. But all this confuses us even more, because we tend to conclude and imagine that it is by choice. And then another thing is time blindness and disorganization, and that spreads beyond the office. It can be physical disorganization, it can be work disorganization, it can be schedule disorganization, it can be desk and paper disorganization. And then also the time beat may arise because some people may tend to be hyper focused, and especially depending on the role, the task at hand. If they intuit fully. If they are not, they will move on to something else and forget what they were supposed to be doing and whatever expectations there were around that. Okay, next, please. Yeah, and number that almost repeats what I've mentioned in number 4, just transitioning from one task to another. It depends on the nature of that task. And then, of course, there's inconsistent memory. If something is not interesting enough or it is not capturing their interest, they will move on and switch off and forget. And you will be angry because they forgot or they ignored it. And they genuinely actually forgot. Okay, so that is how ADHD shows up at work. Next, we are going to see almost what it is not. Um, it is commonly believed that ADHD is a childhood situation, and it is not. It's not necessarily. So, what is happening is that it has for very many years been believed to be a childhood disorder. But the question is, what happens to those children when they grow up? And ADHD is not a condition that we can take Panadol and it disappears, or antibiotic. So it is, I think if it is for adults, maybe we are beaten into shape, we are disciplined into shape, especially depending on who brought you up and where and when. But otherwise, the ADHD remains there in the background. And that is where now somebody like my colleague Monique comes in terms of coaching and life skills. No, we call them something else. Important skills. Important skills come in so that one remembers when they're about to do what they could do and not get away with in childhood. Now they are reminded that there are different and better ways of doing it. And then, of course, it is not laziness or lack of effort. It will show up at work because of incomplete tasks and all that, but it is not laziness. Number three is explained in one. And then it is not always, we believe that it is not always visible, but yes, the truth is that it is. It is visible, it is just misunderstood. And many adults are not diagnosed because it is ignored. When a child gets into adolescence, it is assumed somehow that ADHD, if at all they had it, and especially in this part of our world, will evaporate or dissolve or something. Another myth is that women do not have ADHD. They actually do, but for some reason it takes longer. Research has shown that it takes longer. It takes longer to test women, unless it is a study specific, to study women or to suspect that women could be suffering or experiencing ADHD, and therefore they are forgiven. If it is something like trouble with the law, um, there is mercy extended towards women. I don't know about where that happens, but it has been documented as one of the reasons. And such that the ones you notice in real trouble are really in trouble. Okay. And of course, we know people who are very successful. They have confessed or admitted to having ADHD and have been very successful. So it has nothing to do with success. So what then is the core issue? The problem with ADHD. How does it get misread? So the behavior that is visible is one like missed deadlines. But what do we label them as? An employee who misses deadlines, we may be quick to label them as careless or reckless or uncommitted or poor time management and all that. One who is disorganized or tends to be disorganized as a person, as a worker, they are labeled as unprofessional. Those that are weak or struggling with the nature of emotional responses that they give, we call them that jockey has a bad attitude. And then on the issue of variable output, because they are here, they are there, they don't finish this, we actually conclude they are unreliable.
Oh dear.
So let us remember that, are we still together, Grace?
Absolutely, we are.
You may soon discover why I've asked you that question, but I hope not. Okay.
We are still together. Absolutely, we can hear you.
Okay. So let us remember that these are not character flaws. Somebody who is, especially the emotional beat, it is not necessarily a character flaw. It is who they are and what they are. And again, also, just to mention that like any other situation that has its pros and cons, so does ADHD. So we should not be quick to label and dismiss. There are many others, and there may be these are just indicators of an underlying issue, a cognitive difference that no one has named yet. Nobody, even at the workplace, has named yet as what they are, but rather we label them as what they are not, which is usually the negative bit. Thank you. Okay, so when we label that kind of behavior without understanding the cause, what we are doing is that we are managing the symptom at the risk of losing the person. If an employee, no matter how good they are, continue to be called unreliable, to be reminded by their seniors that they have a poor attitude, what are they likely to do? They are likely to bolt out because they will not wait to be dismissed. They will plan their way out. Remember, they are not weak cognitively. It is they will reason even better than many other people, and they will put two and two together. They know they are not doing it on purpose. They do not know how to undo or how to deal with it, and therefore they may choose to bolt out. Okay, next please. We have what is the hidden organizational cost. Um, and some of you may know this even better than I would, but when we misread ADHD or any other mental health issue for that matter, there is a cost to the organization. It may be hidden. And when we look at ADHD alone, and we know that an approximate number of 5% of adults are estimated to have ADHD, but mostly undiagnosed. And then we know that 3 to 4 times of such people, there's a higher turnover of such people 3 to 4 times because of the unrecognized neurodiverse employees. Neurodiverse and neurodiversity, it is a common description of the ADHD brain. And then once such a person that we dismissed as unreliable, bad attitude, and committed bolts out, and we had hired them, we had advertised, we had actually even engaged a recruitment firm to get them. They have come, we have covered them and done everything we should to a good employee, and then they leave and we go back to square one. There is a cost, and studies have shown that it takes about 200. It costs about 200% on average to replace a specialist, as opposed to retaining them. Okay. So what happens when an employee has all that conflict within his system or her system? There's the employer who expects this. There's the cognitive aspects of the individual that is not behaving as the person would want or would wish, and there is the emotional bit that is definitely over demanding. So one of the things, and we must fear this or be wary of this, is burnout, because ADHD, people with ADHD or experiencing ADHD tend to overcompensate, and that's why they can perform and outperform if they are aware that they need to do 2, 3 times more than other people, and therefore that could lead to burnout. High potential employees also quietly disengage or resign rather than wait to be called to the big office all the time. They disengage, start looking for other things to do, and they bolt out. And then creativity and innovation that never surfaces. By the way, let us know that, or take note that one of the very common strengths associated with ADHD is creativity and innovation. And I think I will mention that later. So I'll mention that. As we can see in the next slide, there's somebody who is looking extremely stressed there, maybe on the verge of being headed towards burnout or disengaging. I want to assume that is a supervisor behind them, but unknown to the supervisor, the same brain that is struggling with routine may be the very best asset, but if placed in the right context. So I want us to remember that just like everybody else, it is just that ADHD tends to be a little bit loud, but just like anybody else, there's a pro and con. And creativity, innovation, I want to repeat, it is one of the, or uniqueness is one of the strength, is one of the very strong sides of ADHD. So this team, we can assume that it is a team that the next slide, that is a team that is fully engaged. Assuming that this is a creative team. This is a team that has been hired for creativity. I don't want to say that all the people who are in creative and innovation department are all ADHDs, but we cannot rule it out. Okay, so what will happen is that if we put people in the right place, especially when we notice that this one is very good when he's doing short-term tasks from start to completion and move on to another one, not routine. I've once done a job where every Monday morning and every Friday evening, every week of every month of every year, I would know what I'm supposed to do, and it would have to be done. Otherwise, some other things will go wrong, and they will affect a chain. That is not the kind of job you give an ADHD mind. Actually, it can drive them crazy. Okay, so when we're talking about that, like this team, I want to assume that this is a team of creatives. So so we notice, like the next slide, one of the things that they have is hyper focus. I mentioned something about hyper focus. When they dive into something, they dive into it, and that's why it's good to be able to identify them and place them where they rightly belong, where they enjoy, and where they will thrive, as opposed to be where they will constantly be the worst performing employees, only all because of misplacement or misalignment of the brain and the job. We've talked about the creative thinking. We have crisis energy. Crisis is, I like to liken this like a shosho or a nice auntie who gets the two grandchildren or the nieces, nephews visiting. At the back of their mind, they know that it is only but for a while. It is not something, it is not my life that has gone back to ground zero. It is for a while. That is the kind of crisis that an ADHD will manage very well. They know it is for a while, so they will do their best for that while, and they will do it well. And then risk. One of the things about unmanaged ADHD is their affection for with risky behaviors. Uncontrolled, unmanaged, they are likely to be involved in anything that you would not like anybody you care about, and that is any human being, to be engaged in, whether it is substance use, whether it is suicidal thoughts, out of frustrations, out of being rejected and excluded, um, missing work as and when they don't feel like going, and all that kind of risk. So, with proper management and support, an inconsistent employee can actually become the gemstone So, then what they need next? What we need? What? So, as a leader, our task is not to identify ADHD. Our task is to notice patterns in individuals that are with us and ask the right questions so that we can guide them towards the right support. So, what do we look for? It is almost a repeat, the patterns worth noticing. Next, patterns worth noticing, and one of them is high potential, inconsistent, somebody with high potential but inconsistent execution, strong ideas but struggles with follow through. By the way, they are also very resourceful. It goes with being creative, but I think the best way I can put it is they open the door. Can somebody else follow through with the routine? But for them, they will open the door. They are excellent in stimulating work, but again, disengaged in routine. And their emotional responses may not be appropriate all the time. They have a tendency to explode. I think it is fair to say unmanaged ADHD doesn't have social distance with a short fuse. So at the workplace, who is going to tolerate somebody who just explodes at any provocation? Okay. So, but now, what is on the right? You can see the right questions to ask. When somebody has high potential but inconsistent execution, there's a question to ask: what does this person need to be able to perform at their best? When they have strong ideas but they struggle with the follow through, again, where do we what do we do with that idea? We don't dump it because the initiator of the idea has moved on. So we don't actually get to the negative and be quick to say what is wrong with this person. Okay. So now the action. um, Next, please. On when we notice these things about those working with us, by the way, they extend beyond the office, but for now we just focus at the workplace. So there are practical adjustments, and they are small, but the gains are much bigger. I mean, they are disproportionately bigger than the smallness of the adjustments that we would need. So just to be clear, if somebody, you may or may not suspect ADHD, but I plead with everybody listening to us not to be quick to label anyone or to even mention ADHD. When, well, it is a common thing, but like any other mental health issue, there is a lot of stigma, and we do not want to be associated or to stigmatize people. Um, and especially, I don't think it would be even ethically right to do so. So one of the things to do is to give clear written communication. What do you want this person to do? What do you expect them to do? By when? How? And also give room for them to give you feedback. Okay. They work well with ah, okay. I've noted that. We've noted that. I hope this is better. I hope this will be better now. So ADHD again with a notebook, with a diary, uh, uh, with a note, with a to-do list, with a diary kind of thing. Yeah. A priority kind of list so that they can tick one by one, and then they can be able to work on priorities so that they do not feel overwhelmed when they have so many things at the same time. So too many demands from within, but not assisted. You may say, but you are a manager, you should be able to organize your time. Not necessarily so. They are not looking, and their cognitive faculty is not functioning that way. Okay. Flexibility is key. And like I mentioned earlier, just because two people have the same qualifications, and they have the same jobs, they're employed in the same departments, we should be careful not to assume that they should be able to do the same thing and expect the same output. Who we are will determine the difference. And it is only the manager, the lead manager, or somebody in charge who would have that responsibility to notice that and pick it out. Eh? And then bureaucracy, it is associated with routines and all that and rules. You remember I mentioned or I hinted ADHD and spontaneity are close cousins. So too much bureaucracy will lead them to stray away, to break from routine, to break from, to look for something more exciting. And then, of course, coaching is key. And of, when you have such a high potential in your team and you help them, you're not just helping that one person, you're actually helping the entire team. And that is that leads us to confirm that practical adjustments but disproportionate gains. I will now ask that you allow me to hand over to my colleague Monique to take us through from this point.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Njoki. We just wanted to bring you some statistics to show that ADHD is something that is global. Globally, it said that there are over 404 million people living with this condition. Yeah, some statistics there for you to know it's not just something to be taken lightly. Next slide. And we also, you can see, we try to also see how ADHD is translates in the different continents. I do not know the reason behind this, but you can see it's common in the US, Canada, South America, Africa, a bit of Europe, and Asian countries and the USSR. China seems not to have a lot. Actually, we don't know, but that's just a research. I can see a question, why not in Russia? We are not so sure, but that's a research done. And they're saying, you can see in Kenya and the East Africa, on average, we have 1,500 people with ADHD per every 100,000 people. So you can see it's something that is actually common. Further, it said that 1 out of every 67, now this is facts in Kenya, 1 out of 67 adults have ADHD, yeah? And only 1.5 to 13.1% are diagnosed and asymptomatic. So we are saying in Kenya, we have approximately 1,500 people with ADHD for every 1,000 Kenyans. Just to give you the kind of scenario that we have. Next. In terms of top African countries, you can see Egypt has the highest, followed by Zambia and then Kenya, and you can see where the other countries range. On average, Egypt, for every 100,000 people, it's around 1,750, and Zambia and Kenya and the other countries, it's around 1,500 people, just for statistics to let you know how prevalent this is. Worldwide, in other globally, if we could go to the next slide, the other countries in other continents seem to have a lower perception or a lower indicator of ADHD. Germany and Vietnam have the lowest, around 250 per every 100,000 people. And you can see Hungary, even Lithuania, they are quite high, but not as high as Kenya, where we have 1,500. Here we are seeing on average 400 people for every 100,000 people. But the reason why we are having this webinar is first just to show you that ADHD is prevalent, yeah. But we want we would like to move from awareness to action. So what are we calling us to do? We're saying first and foremost, recognition is the first step. As you've heard from my colleague and first presenter, these are people living amongst us. Probably even amongst us in this webinar, there are people with ADHD. So the first step is recognition. Then the second step is not to just rule them out, is to provide support. And we've seen the support that is required is not really major, but with that support, you can have great transformation from these people suffering from ADHD. And so what are we saying here? We are saying ADHD is not the barrier. Next slide. Yeah. The absence of the right environment and the right tools is the barrier. So what do we do? Number one, we've talked about recognition, see what has been misread. Yeah, the people that we've talked about, disorganization, missing deadlines. I've even seen from some of your comments, some of the people are not team players. So recognize what has been misread and then name it without being judgmental. And once you do that, ask yourself, either as a manager, the HR, or even the team members, or even yourself, what support can we provide? Build the conditions where that talent can actually show up as opposed to dismissing that person, that they're not productive, they're not competent, or they're not the right person for the team. And then once you provide the right support, then you transform. You help that person transform. And I think I saw somebody ask, can this be done even for people after 50? I think you can do that. Transformation can happen with the right support. Yeah. So we are saying let's be intentional with the action with at the individual and organizational level, because we are saying awareness without action changes nothing. But today is only valuable if something shifts from here. So what are some of the things that can be done? For us now, we've partnered with Dr. Njoki. Dr. Njoki is an expert, yeah. And for me as a coach, we've partnered together and come up with a 12-week adult ADHD coaching program. And the purpose of this program is designed for professionals ready to move from that place of struggle to a place of strategy. Yeah. And we're saying this program is guided by an ADHD consultant, supported with coaching tools for mind and performance. And that's where we can see growth beginning. So as we are coming to an end of this, towards the end of this webinar, we are saying ADHD, as you've seen from the statistics, is something within us. So we are saying, how can we first and foremost create self-awareness? And that's what we are doing right now, for example, in this webinar, to understand how ADHD shows up in your work and relationships. Although, like my colleague, Dr. Njokia said, today we've just focused in work, but with time, we are also going to see how does ADHD also affect relationships. And then once we have that awareness, then the next step is to focus on building strategies that work with the individual brain and not against it. Yeah, so that there's performance. And then, of course, as we've seen, one of the other attributes with people suffering from ADHD is emotional regulation. So we also see how can we develop tools to manage people such that they don't get overwhelmed, they don't react, they don't suffer burnout, such that they're able to self-manage themselves towards performance. And then lastly, many times because of the way they've been perceived, there's that inner critic that these people tend to suffer from. So how can we also help these people silence that voice, the inner critic within them and turn that potential in them from that space of self-doubt. So we are available as for individual professionals, for HR referred employees, and also the organization as a whole, because people are the ones who form organization. So as we come to an end, I would like to say thank you very much to Atara Solution for providing us this opportunity to interact with each and every one of you. And today we are saying, if what we've presented has resonated with you, whether for yourself as an individual or someone within your team or your organization, this is our invitation for you to take that next step. The talent was never the problem. Sometimes the right understanding and the right support makes all the difference. So join us in the 12-week program where we work with ADHD to help people find themselves so that they become the better persons of who they were created to be. Again, we say in closing, thank you very much. And we want to say, think of one person within your team whose performance has puzzled you. Is it possible we've been asking the wrong question about them? God bless you, and we are open for comments and questions. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much, Dr. Njoki and Monique. That was quite interesting and very, very eye-opening. And it's interesting that sometimes you can see these things right under your nose. But I think one of the questions that was going through my mind as you did your presentation is, what is the difference between bipolar symptoms and ADHD?
Okay. Bipolar is technically a mood disorder. And bipolar was previously called manic disorder. And it is bi because of the highs and the low, but mood disorder. ADHD, in addition to being neurodevelopmental, that is the brain is wired differently. I like to say that it is wired positively differently because it works very well when somebody recognizes that. It is also a behavioral. It is associated with behavior issues. It is more behavioral than bipolar. Bipolar is more mood, and that's why it is more associated with things like depression and behavior. So what one would do when in a state of depression is different. What would lead one towards depression in bipolar is different from what would lead one to depression in ADHD. Does that answer?
Somehow, yeah. So it's more of the causes than cause effect.
And especially the let's say actually the cause, the effect, and the in between.
Yeah.
The in between.
Yes, and Monique, somebody's asking, how do we register for the 12-week program?
Thank you very much. We'd like to partner with Atara Solutions. So you can either send your details to Atara Solutions, but we had also put our numbers in one of the slides. If you could go the last second last slide. My number is 0722 914 160. Dr. Njoki's is
0725 545 646. Yeah, they're there.
Yes. Richard, do you have a question for the two experts?
Grace, I do not have a question, but what I have is a commendation that the ladies have done an amazing job, and I am delighted that they have linked how it can be managed so that the individual or the organization can become a high performance individual or organization. That's quite good, the linkage, because if it's not managed, it becomes wasted talent, and you're doing something important to the community. Keep it up. Feel inspired. I am sure the HR professionals here and leaders, I can see my good friend from Mombasa, Paul, is here as well. We'll continue spreading the word that it is a thing that can be managed. I don't know, is it medication or arrangement of thought processes? Probably that is the question I could like to ask.
It could be a mix of both, but with adults, unless the situation is so dire, medication is the last resort. Because you see, medication will not teach you to be tidy and to organize your room and your desk. What it will improve help you improve on is like concentration and memory and attention and all that. But the important skills, medication will not do that for you. Medication is usually given to children because they really have to pay attention in school and all that. But as we get older, it is expected that we learn to manage ourselves day by day. And how do you manage yourself? That's where things like coaching now comes in. And then support, because I want to drop a few names and hoping that one day, even in this part of the world, we shall get there. Today, when you see a child who is different, like I said earlier, they are actually okay. Now I think there's no caning in school, but before they would really be thrashed until they keep quiet or sit still. But in the West, where ADHD was first recognized in the 18s and documented maybe 1902 thereabout, uh, it was treated differently. And those children at one time were even called able differently or gifted differently because they were performing well, but it was noticed that they are they have some gift that is it is not utilized. And so I want to drop a few names, and one of them I can only drop the ones that have said and themselves publicly. And one is Richard Branson. Another one is Simon Cowell. Another one is Will Smith. Another one is one of the presidents, the earlier presidents of the USA. Those are guys who didn't finish school or didn't finish college because it was so boring. They were being forced to do something they were not interested in. They could not imagine themselves waking up every day to go and do the same thing every day for 3 years, 4 years. They broke away and were allowed and supported to do what it is they were interested in. And that is why here now, this evening, we are talking about them when they don't know we exist.
Probably the last question. For a person to decide that X, Y, and Z has this problem, or I, Richard, have this problem, you've given us some telltale signs. Do you do a batch of tests so that somebody can be able to say this is normal hyperactivity and this is now which requires attention? Do you have some tests, quick tests somebody can be able to use to be able to arrive at
Yes, the answer is yes, loudly so. There's one would need to go through a clinical evaluation
okay.
that has an assessment, maybe using a standard tool that has been, it's evidence based. Then, of course, there's an interview and all that. And there are reports because nobody will go to a psychologist and say, I suspect I have ADHD unless they really suspect they have ADHD. So, and how will they have heard of it? Some people will have accused them or labeled them. And I hope that doesn't really happen because although with the younger people nowadays, it is no big deal, but I would still like to see it as a big deal. I wouldn't want to tell somebody, I can see ADHD in you, you better go for evaluation. But there is, and if need be, psychologists work with psychiatrists. By the way, maybe that's where the stigma comes, because to confirm if it is a situation that needs medication, a psychiatrist has to be involved, and he will also do, or they will also do their own assessment.
Okay. Thank
But
you.
the behavioral bit can be managed once somebody is open to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a question that had been asked by Monica. How do we bring this conversation to the boardrooms? Understand their focus is on revenue, and how do you balance between their creativity and burnout?
Okay. I would hope that that question is coming from an HR person, because that would be the
Yes.
right place to start.
Yes.
Because when it is coming from HR, then it ceases to be a label, and it becomes wellness, staff wellness. And when they engage people to discuss mental health awareness, ADHD could be one of those that is discussed, and because I don't expect somebody to go to the boardroom and also say, I suspect employee, I'm having trouble with employee Jockey and Monique and Richie and Grace, and I suspect they have ADHD. It will not happen that way. It would have to go through the back route, and that is by way of mental health awareness. And then
You mentioned Richard, and I'm seeing somebody laughing. Is it because I bring a lot of energy to things? Anyway, that's
no, that was with a light note. I used that as an example. I don't know anybody else's name right now that I could use, but
no,
yeah, I get you. I get you. That would be the way to go. The HR would actually be the right place to start, or whoever is responsible for staff welfare or staff wellness. Mm.
And then there's a question.
Sorry, just it is actually there at the workplace. If you think deep, you will find we are talking about 1 in 67. And remember, in Kenya, people don't get screened.
Yes.
Yeah, so it could be those are the few studies that have been done.
And
Yeah.
there's because I see we are already way past 9 o'clock. I know we lost a bit of time, but there's a interesting comment here that gosh, where is it? Where is that? Where is that? Okay, I need to. I've seen a very interesting comment with somebody who says they were diagnosed with the ADHD, and they wanted to know.
It's from PW.
I have seen. Having been diagnosed and managing ADHD, I have found it useful to also focus on the strength of ADHD, like extra energy directed positively, and hyper focus to shorter tasks. And then Anne Joseph says, is ADHD similar to dyslexia? I think they're different, but Dr. You can answer that.
Yeah, they are different, but they're different, yes. But ADHD, by the way, has very many cousins. It doesn't work alone. More than 70% of the time, it works with somebody else. Dyslexia could be one. In younger people, it will have conduct related issues, rebellion to authority and all that. Dyslexia will come in by way of learning disabilities, and ADHD are not complete. They are not one and the same, but they have a good relationship, if I may say so. But yeah.
Would you recommend therapy for a child with ADHD or just therapy? I did not understand the last part.
Now, would you? No, maybe they meant medication. I would go with both. I would go with both.
All right. Somebody, Rhoda, is saying,
And wean off medication as the child grows.
okay, yeah, she meant, would you recommend therapy for a child or just with medication? Yeah, I think you got that right.
Yeah.
So Rhoda is saying, we appreciate the increased attention to mental health. Please advise on the caution to exercise in avoiding over-reliance on therapy, especially with internet-assisted self-diagnosis, instead of accepting the challenges one is facing, which may purely affect intentional behavior, and making a commitment to pay attention to the areas of attention. Yes, we don't encourage self-diagnosis or use of ChatGPT to tell you that you have ADHD. And I think that should go out to everyone, that the information here is for information purposes. And please seek expert opinion on that matter to make sure that you're not misdiagnosing yourself. All right, and at this point in time, allow me to invite you lovely ladies to give your parting shot. Oh, Mercy, your hand is up. Did you want to speak? Just 1 minute. Mercy, where is Mercy? Mercy, did you want to speak? And Felix, did you want to speak as well? Felix Kalo, Mercy Njoroge, your hands are up. Okay, Mercy has put hers down. Felix, your hand is up. Okay. Anyway, so we want to invite you ladies to give us your parting shot.
Okay, I'll go first. Thank you very much. I think I'll just want to invite each one of us, all of us, to embrace mental health such that it becomes second nature, and to be supportive rather than judgmental. Because once we embrace mental health, we realize that the same way we treat people when they come and mention, I have cancer, I have diabetes, we sympathize, we are supportive, we'll do anything for them. But the minute they say, I have schizo, we shy away. So my appeal would be that we get to understand and accept that mental health is just part of our health, and we cannot be well if one part of our well-being is not well and functioning fully, and that will not happen without the support of each and every single person that it affects around us in one way or another.
Thank you.
For me, I'd just like to say, based on the statistics that we've shared, ADHD is something within us, it's within our society. And like somebody asked, how do we bring this to the boardroom? I'll just say the first thing is to create awareness. Once we create awareness, to ask ourselves, how do we support those people with ADHD such that at the end of the day, we see transformation first from an individual level, which ideally should also reflect in the organization's performance. So we welcome all of you. We could start by coming to talk about it in your organizations through wellness programs. We could, and from there we agree, how can we progress to the next step? Others for me is to say thank you very much and for your patience. I know we had challenges with power because of heavy rains from where we are, but finally we got connected and we are grateful for this opportunity. God bless you all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Monique and Joki. It's a pleasure to have you. And thank you very much. And we look forward to learning more from you. And for those asking for contact details, we've shared that on the chat. You can always get in touch with them, and you can always contact us in case you're stuck. Tara Solutions will extend the contact details for both Monique and Joki. So thank you very much for joining us. Please do not forget to join us in Meru on the 5th of June. Other than that, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. See you next Tuesday, same place, same time. Please follow us on Instagram at Tara Solutions. Like our Facebook page at Tara Solutions. Connect with us on LinkedIn at Tara Solutions, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Get It Right with Tara Solutions. Somebody asked when or where the recording will be posted. We upload it on our YouTube channel, so please do connect with us. And of course, if you're new here, you're joining us for the first time, please do join our WhatsApp group to get to know what's happening. Like I said at the beginning, we are here every Tuesday from 8 o'clock, and we have different topics. I'm actually very excited about the Mother's Day topic because it's something very unique and also something that all of us didn't know. I actually just came to learn about it about a year back. So we're gonna learn more about that, both for the men and women, on how to support the mothers in their lives. So we're looking forward to that. But next week, we're gonna be covering yet another different topic as we prepare for the entire of May. So I wish you the very best and enjoy yourselves. And see you next Tuesday, same time, same place, for another yet amazing conversations. Have yourselves a good night.
Good night, everybody. Start saving so that we can meet in Meru. Who knows? We might try a few trees.
You know?
I like that. Okay, good night.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Believe in me the way I believe. I said I love you, and that's forever. And this I promise from my heart.